Can we talk about homelessness for a minute?
Sure.
I mean, this is your specialty is addiction, right?
Mm,
Treating
mm,
addiction. Um, I just moved out of LA, but I was living for a long time on Venice Beach.
mm.
And when I first got there, I remember first getting there in like 2013 and having a lot of sympathy for the homeless people and thinking, oh my gosh, this is just terrible. And
The
these
rent
people are
is too
just,
high. Rent is too high for these
right.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're just down on their luck and we should help. And so I was kind of giving them things and doing what I could. And then as I was living there and walking around every day, and of course, they become your community, you start talking to people, you start getting to know them, and then realizing that the situation was not what I originally thought it was. That many of these people, many of them actually just chose to be homeless, quite frankly. Like some of them they just didn't like the man. They were like, well, I just don't want to live under the thumb of the man. And I like my lifestyle here and I'm just
Let
selling
me ask you,
weed or whatever.
that group is about 10% of the homeless, and they have a certain profile. What did that person look like that would tell you that? I'm just curious.
Well, for example, I had a neighbor who was living in my apartment building and he literally quit his job and decided to go live homeless.
Mm.
And he was just like this kind of in his 30s white guy that didn't want to be living and smoking a lot of pot, and just didn't want to
Right.
live under the thumb of the
Well,
man.
there's addiction there right away. So, but did he ride skateboards?
Oh yeah, skateboarder. Yeah.
The mark of that guy that you're describing, that 10% that just, hey man, I'm living off the grid, whatever. Backpack, skateboard, white,
Yeah.
angry,
Yeah.
super angry dude, and maybe a little bipolar too, like some hypomania in there, mania.
Probably.
And so, yeah, those guys are dangerous. And we do not need to be setting policy based on those guys.
Right.
Think about it. They're the ones that go scream in the public in the county commission meetings and things. They are not the people to be listened to. They are dangerous and angry, and they wish you ill. I suspect when Antifa started showing up, I started thinking, I think there's a whole bunch of them that are out of that group.
Yeah. And when you say they're dangerous, you mean like what is it they're saying when they go to the meetings and they're screaming? What are they
Just
advocating for?
they're advocating leave us alone, essentially.
Yeah.
Just they're obstructing any attempt to do anything for homeless people.
Yeah.
90% are being murdered. They're being murdered by these policies. This is neglectful manslaughter. That's
Yeah.
what it is. These are treatable illnesses. They become irreversible at a certain point, and they are fatal in the vast majority of cases. And you are allowing this. It's unfreaking believable.
It is.
So,
So there was that group and the reason why they stand out is because they're coherent, they're
yeah,
vocal, they
right,
talk to people, they're social,
right.
right? And so they're the ones talking to everybody that's walking by and making friends in the community, being like, I just want to live like this, like leave me alone, right? And they're
Yep,
the ones that can talk to the activists who have
yep,
the bleeding hearts and kind of
yep,
organize them a bit.
correct.
And then the other two groups that I noticed when I was living there for 10 years was the drug addicts, those who were just totally, completely addicted to drugs, and then those who were severely mentally ill, maybe
Right.
a combination of both with those two
Right. That's
groups.
the 90%. That's the 90%. I mean, it's Tim Dillon was doing a comic act about this. He goes, what are you supposed to give this person a job? How would you even, how would it even
There's no
work?
way.
And give them a place to live. Drug addicts go to the street. That's what meth and fentanyl are the two drugs. And both those drive outdoors. Schizophrenia drives outdoors. You must not allow people to do that. You must take them by the hand and take care of them. We are in denial about the fact that brains get sick, and when they get sick, one of the prime features is loss of insight. They literally don't see what's happening to them. And when they get well, by the way, and they look back and they go, what the hell? What, you left me on the street like that? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
I could have died like everybody else I knew did die. It's unbelievable. And here's the really crazy stuff. There's a guy named Klickstein that wrote a book called Crooked Smile that I interviewed. And he'd been off the street now about 5 years. He was a bad heroin addict. Now he's a carpenter. He's doing great. And he said, towards the end, not only would they give me the fentanyl, give me the heroin, give me the rigs to shoot myself up, they would pat me on the back and go, don't worry, we'll get you through this, because once we have communism, this will all stop. He said he
Okay.
literally, every person he encountered was saying shit like that to him. So it's just, and we have social workers who are, you cannot get more medically and psychiatrically ill than the people on the street.
Right.
That is the most severe psychiatric illness manifestations. And that also coexists with severe medical problems typically as well. When you get severe psychiatric problems, you also get medical problems. Doctors and nurses are not allowed to interact with these people. So you have outdoor hospitals without walls being run by social workers who are not trained to do this. This is not, they're wonderful, but they're not trained for serious mental illness, serious medical problems.
Okay, so
There's
are
no
they
training in that?
so
Or
they're
very little.
treating it so what you're saying is they're treating it like a social problem and not a medical problem.
100%.
Okay.
Like,
Do you think that the rise in homelessness is because of policy or an increase in drug use?
both. So the policies that are getting in the way, you're not allowed to have conservators. Some people need custodial care. Not allowed to do that. You're not allowed conservatorships, though Newsom moved a tiny direction in that way. But conservatorships, the Lanterman Petrus short, the LPS that determines the 3-day holds and the 14-day holds, Lanterman himself went to his grave profoundly disturbed that he had made a major mistake with that. And in LPS, in the determinations of when we can take somebody and help them against their will or otherwise, the term gravely disabled used to be the most common reason people were brought in. When the brain stops working, you become gravely disabled. You may not be suicidal, you may not be psychotic, but you're gravely disabled. You can't house yourself. You shit on the street. That's gravely disabled. That term has been essentially eliminated. You're not allowed to bring people in for gravely disabled, and you're not allowed to keep them in for almost any reason whatsoever. So the actual getting somebody, because they can always just go to the street and go to Panhandle and then they're fine. And that's only, if they have a tent, they have a corner they panhandle on, they know where McDonald's is, you're not allowed to keep them.
I could just say, as a family member, and I've dealt with both severe drug addiction in my family and mental illness. And I have to say that as a family member, it is incredibly frustrating trying to figure out what can I do for my family member.
Right.
And we're left with no resources as a family. I mean, we're left with
armies of mothers going up to Sacramento and saying, please, we have doctors, we have a place to put our son. Help me get him off the street.
Right.
Who the F are you? He's leading his best life. Why do you have to lead? Why does he have to lead a life that you want him to live? Get out of here. Scram.
Yeah. That's kind of what we're taught. I mean, we're basically told we're left without any, as a family member, I've just been told, look, they have to commit a crime basically in order for us to lock them up. And it's like, well, I don't want them to get to the point of committing a crime.
But they took away all the crimes. So you can steal until it's a sport your habit. You can traffic in drugs. You can use drugs. What crime are they going to commit? Maybe they get violent on meth. Okay, then we bring them in. But that's not the typical.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't seem to understand this. You know, living in LA for a long time and, of course, around a lot of really bleeding heart liberal progressives, and having this discussion with them as somebody who firsthand has had to try to deal with this system and be extremely frustrated by it, that I cannot gain conservatorship over a family member that I believe I should have conservatorship over. And the bleeding heart liberal just kind of says, well, leave them alone and these people are fine. And really, without understanding, no, these people are not okay. And as a family, we're left with no resources whatsoever to handle this.
I used to take care of these people for years, and we did a great job, and they get better. Here's the problem. With opiate and meth addiction, it ends in death. Yeah. So you're allowing somebody to die of a progressive medical condition. They deny that completely. Number two, things like schizophrenia. If you let schizophrenia run unchecked, those people are irretrievable. If you treat them aggressively and early, they can be restored to employment. Yeah. They can do fine. But if you don't do it early, here's the really insane part. But if somebody has dementia, and the dementia makes them psychotic and agitated and walk around on the street without their clothes on, and you don't help that person, you're guilty of abusing a patient abuse. Same symptom, same presentation, different underlying condition. One we privilege in the law, and the other we absolutely require treatment. Yeah. It's the craziest stuff.
Are there any states that are actually tackling this the right way?
A lot of states are doing stuff. Florida's trying to do stuff. Indiana was doing stuff. I mean, there are cities that are doing it. The comedy is, look, not comedy, the tragedy Amsterdam had this. Amsterdam had exactly this policy, and they people were dying all over the place. They had the worst drug problem in the world, and a new mayor came in, cleaned it up completely. They now have one of the best situations in Amsterdam, and guess what? Everybody's happier, including the drug addicts.
Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, KimIversonShow.com. See you there.